Hello everybody. If you'd like to know a little bit more about what April holds in store for you personally, I do offer several different levels of astrological service. All of these are available through the astrological services page of my website, and if interested, you can book with me at the link you'll see above. So here we are, the first of the sign by sign forecast for the month of April. Maybe that's a good month to start with. I'm going to give this a shot for a couple of months, see how it works out, because it's a lot of work that goes into doing horoscopes if you want to do it really well. So you're going to see me going through several different costume changes over the course of this video, because I kind of have to record it a little bit at a time, because that's the only way I'd be able to kind of put it all together. So just a little bit about horoscopes and how they kind of work. So I'm going to do ascendant by ascendant horoscopes. You should look for these for your ascendant. I work with the Vedic system of astrology, but I use a tropical zodiac with sidereal nakshatras. So if you want to know your ascendant as per the tropical system, there is a link down in the text below that will take you to a free chart calculator where you can calculate and find out what your ascendant is based upon your date of birth and your time of birth. So also I wanted to let you know that as these are horoscopes, they're not going to be absolutely perfect as per your life in general, because horoscopes are so much more than just where planets are transiting from your ascendant. We need to take into consideration what planets in your own personal birth chart are being impacted by these transits and so many other things. For that, I highly recommend getting a full consultation with either myself or, even another astrologer. But these can provide some general ideas of what's going on in the month ahead for you. So we're going to start with a little introduction into what April holds in store in general before we go into the ascendant by ascendant breakdown for all of the horoscopes. So April's a month where you're likely going to find yourself in one area of your life or another trying to bring resolution or healing to an area of your life that has long been broken. And you have an idea of how you want to achieve this, the steps that need to be taken in order to bring it about. But as you begin to start down that road and integrate those steps into your life, things get a little bit frustrating and they don't really go quite to plan, so to speak. And so you find yourself in a position where you're going, do I wait this through or do I shift on to another chance, another opportunity, or potentially another solution? And things are likely going to happen in a way that you don't expect them to. Somewhere along the road, you're going to have to let go of something, or potentially even someone that you don't want to let go of. Some restless energy begins to kind of come to the surface towards the end of April that coincides with you having to shift in one area of your life and bring that letting go process to a culmination. So we're going to go in and we're going to take a look at what areas of your life are most likely being impacted through these ascendant by ascendant horoscopes, which we're going to start obviously with Aries ascendant. Hello Aries, and welcome to your monthly horoscope for the month of April. So whose wisdom do you listen to most closely in your life? Are you the type of person that tunes into your own inner compass, trusts in its direction above all other things? Or do you find yourself in the position where, well, you're perhaps influenced more heavily by the input of your friends and associates and your peer group, to say the least? So Jupiter, as it's transiting Shatabishak Nakshatra in your 11th house of gains and also peers, has you in the position of questioning what your purpose is or what your mission is. And if you have a good clue of that already, you're perhaps undergoing a review of that area of your life and trying to find a balance in either instance between purpose and mission and meaning, and taking a path that's more financially lucrative in moving ahead. And one part of you is questioning whether making certain moves which seem to offer a more financially lucrative lifestyle, and you're beginning to see a way in which you could do that would also allow you to have more meaning in your life as you begin to approach this particular path. Well, some conflicts and some stress tend to arise in your life. Philosophical arguments with people that you're perhaps closest with. It places you in the unique position of having to review your friendships and having to review the partnerships in your life and taking a look at whether those still serve a purpose in your life, whether there are more resources in your connections with your friends than there are in more deeply trusting in your own inner resourcefulness. And as we get, well, a little bit past mid-month, you're likely finding yourself in a position where you're feeling nervous and uncertain. Something that seemed like it was initially a really good idea, now you're not so sure about, because you're hearing all sorts of words that, part of them are seemingly pearls of wisdom, and part of them just seem like complete BS. And, as you're tuning into the ones that seem more like they're pearls of wisdom, you're questioning whether you need to shift or change your approach. Some of your friendships, some of your partnerships, well, maybe on a certain level, they're in jeopardy if you decide to go down this particular path. But it looks like as you approach the full moon at the end of the month, you're willing to more fully commit to the path ahead, whether that be a restructured approach than the one that you were initially considering, or whether it's just the very same approach. You decide to step through that portal, although it feels, well, a little bit uncomfortable for you to do so. And I'd like to tell you that when you do it, it's going to just feel, completely wonderful, and you'll be glad that you made the decision. And you will eventually, but it's likely going to take you through a space of, well, having to confront your insecurities and questioning whether or not you made the right choice. Be willing to stick things through. Be willing to listen more deeply to your own inner compass. Those connections, those partnerships that need to stay in your life, they just automatically will. Hello, Taurus, and welcome to your horoscope for the month of April. Are you a little baby, or are you a full-grown adult? Do you still need a mommy and daddy around to nurture you? Or do you have your own things in your life that you have a responsibility to, that you have to nurture? Or perhaps is it, well, a little bit of both, right? When you're willing to let the past be the past, when you feel ultimately like you're trying to dedicate yourself to a new future, one in which you've corrected your mistakes, one in which you feel like you're making wiser choices and wiser decisions in your life, and you find yourself in the position where, well, everybody's still treating you like that child that you once were. Or if this is connected to your friends are treating you like that person that you once were in the past that made all sorts of stupid choices. We know you're not making those stupid choices anymore. Or are you? Right? That's the question you have to ask yourself. You have a choice to really firmly and strongly leave the past behind. You do. Your main relationship, most especially this month, but even ever more deeply going forward has to be to yourself. And it has to be to the person that you're becoming, more so than the person that you once were. If you focus too much on that person that you once were, and you surround yourself by people who are reminding you of that person that you once were, it's only going to place you in the position of holding yourself back. Now, am I saying you need to cut all of your connections? Am I saying that you need to not hang out with, your family members who are treating you that way? Not necessarily, but you need to be firm. You need to be strong. You need to recognize that only you knows the responsibilities that you have in your life. Only you can be sure of what inspires you. Only you know what you are trying to create. It also looks like there's a career change in the works for you this month, Taurus, and you're redeveloping things and altering your approach towards this particular career change. It may feel to you like it's not coming together as quickly as you would like for it to. Allow for structured growth. Don't expect everything all at once. And in that problem that you're having with your family, sometimes the best way to show compassion for them is to show compassion for yourself. And in showing compassion for yourself, sometimes you just have to turn your head and walk the other way. Hello, Gemini, and welcome to your monthly forecast for the month of April. You're finding yourself in a position where you're feeling stuck, and being stuck in and of itself isn't quite so bad, especially if you know which direction you should head in. But when you're finding yourself equally in a position where that's confusing as well, I think you get the picture. Things are pretty frustrating for you at the present moment. You're likely finding yourself in a position where you're uncertain of what to believe anymore. Certain beliefs, certain philosophies which you once held as the foundation of your security and stability, those are undergoing constant revamping, even more so than usual for someone with such an analytical mind such as yourself. Everything is topsy-turvy. What was once up is now down. What was once left is now right. What was once right side up is now upside down. And don't worry, I'm not going to sing that cheesy Motown song. But you're finding yourself in a position where things, and yes, even people, long-term commitments, even certain relationships in which you used to find a great degree of solace and security, either you're falling from grace with that other person, or that other person is falling from grace with you. And at the center of it all, you're going, why me? Why me? Why am I the source of so much stress and conflict? Why am I such a magnet for tension and all sorts of discomfort? Why me? And why you indeed, right? You're confused. You're feeling lost. One thing for certain is you know you need to be a little more resourceful, but you're not sure which direction you need to be resourceful in. Right? So examine that situation. Where does the source of all of your stress lie? You may think it's outside of yourself. You may think that it lies in those connections that are falling apart. You may think it lies in your finances, which you're trying to desperately hold together. You may think that it has something to do with your security inside of yourself about the future and how you can set up things in a manner that are going to be more stable for you. But really, if you examine the situation, the conflict is in here. Right? It's no wonder, or no surprise, I should say, what you're going through when your philosophies are changing, when the entire manner in which you've seen life previously is no longer holding water anymore. Of course you're going to feel a little uneasy within yourself. Of course you're going to feel confused about direction. But trying to desperately resolve that externally is likely not going to solve the problem at the present moment. At the moment, you really need to take a look within and resolve your external situation from inside of yourself. All those things that you're feeling insecure about, well, you don't need to be insecure anymore. When you're unsure of what to hold on to and what to let go of, sometimes maybe it makes sense to just let go of it all altogether, with the exception of one or two things that you suddenly feel like, well, I don't know about that one or two things that I'm considering letting go. Maybe they serve more of a purpose, and indeed, they likely will. But your problem, again, is less external. It's more internal. Resolve the question from within yourself. Hello, Cancer, and welcome to your monthly horoscope for the month of April. April finds you in a position where, sadly enough, you're concerned about your future stability and security, more on the material level. Someone is having far too huge of an impact upon your financial situation than you really want them to have. And inside of yourself, you don't know if it's right or appropriate or even dharmic to allow this situation to continue. And rather than place yourself in a position where you persist with the consistent struggle with which you've become accustomed in more recent months, one part of you, a growing part of you, feels that it's very necessary to set yourself free from this particular connection. There's only one thing that's standing in the way: joint interests, which you have both held together, whether that be in the form of children, whether that be in the form of investments that you've held with this other person, whether this be in the form of creative projects that you've worked on together, whether it's related to things that you both used to find inspiring to do together, which you're suddenly going to have to let fall apart. Those things would have to kind of be, well, consigned to the scrap heap, so to speak. And one part of you is not really sure if this is something that you want to do. But are you going to let this hindrance stand between you and your future stability? Are you going to let this seemingly large stumbling block, which may not be quite as big as you think it is, stand between you and being happy in the future? Now, I know what you're saying. One part of you is going, I don't know if I can be happy walking away from these things that we've held together. Certainly you can, if you really want to. Ultimately, the decision is up to you, right? And I know you'd like for me to just tell you what to do, but I want you to focus this month on your own independence. You need to claim your independence or reclaim your independence and not be afraid to express it. When you do so, note how quickly your life will change in the process. Hello, Leo, and welcome to your monthly horoscope for the month of April. Is it really worth arguing over finances? Well, likely not, and you may find yourself in just such a position this month where, there's potentially some debt that you're having to deal with, and because of that debt, there's equally some tension within a personal relationship of one sort or another. Hard to say whether this is really a business relationship or more of an intimate relationship. Whatever the case might be, an opportunity to heal is on offer for you. But you're going to need to be patient. Things take time, and when you're trying to heal, well, when some pretty not so nice things have been said, then it can take even more time than you might really want for it to in the first place. Best thing to do is to let that tension within the relationship, if it's more of a personal relationship, let it be discharged by spicing things up a little bit on the romantic end of things. That way, all of the tension, all of the anger and stress can be discharged in a more positive way. It also seems like a career opportunity seems to be in the works for you, and that can also offer you a chance to improve your finances as well. And if it's not necessarily a change in career altogether, it's a shift within the place that you presently work, letting go of one position for another. But it seems like on one level, well, you're a little bit reluctant to do that. You're feeling a little bit insecure about making this change. And once you actually do decide, probably towards later end of the month, to make this particular shift, initially you may find yourself in a position where you're going, well, gee, that was really stupid. And why did I listen to that astrologer talk to me about the potential of that change? But if you give things time, if you're willing to be patient, if you recognize that all those things that you're looking to create in your life, you have to give them dedication, you have to give them devotion, and you have to be willing to go the extra mile. Don't think that everything is going to happen overnight. Be patient and take time. Hello, Virgo, and welcome to your monthly horoscope for the month of April. April's finding you in a little bit of a repetitive pattern where it seems like that once you align with those things that are important to you, once you begin to organize your life around the things that you find inspiring, that suddenly things in your life begin to fall apart. Solutions that once brought resolution to those very same problems which you're now experiencing no longer seem to be providing that resolution. And so then you take yourself and you move yourself in the direction of avoiding those things that you find inspiring and trying to set yourself up in a manner where you're fixing the problems in your life. Only you can't ignore that inspiration that's there and the drive that's trying to pull you in the direction of that inspiration. And so then you turn around and you begin to head again in the direction of that inspiration, and again, things begin to fall apart. You're finding yourself in a position where you're having a change of heart. You think something's important to you, but now you're not really sure if it's that important at all. Maybe that thing that you're needing to solve, that problem that you're needing to take care of, maybe that's more important. But then when you go in that direction, you have a change of heart in that direction too. And suddenly you go, well, no, now I need to go back in this direction because certainly this has to be the way. And a change of heart can either be laborious or it can be pleasant. Now, which of those directions do you want to go in? If you have a change of heart in the direction of something that feels inspiring to you, then that change of heart becomes enjoyable. And if you have a change of heart and go, no, this isn't going well, I need to deal with the financial side of things and I need to deal with this side of things, but it's so laborious, then that change of heart becomes laborious. So you see, you have a choice of a change of heart. And you also have a choice, potentially, of a change of profession. And so April likely finds you in the position of trying to figure out how you can more creatively align what you sense to be your evolving potential with a more lucrative way of earning money. And it's doing that because you have to earn money, because you're likely finding yourself in a position where you're having to take care of a backlog of financial needs, and they just have to be dealt with. But you have a choice to let yourself get caught up in that external tension and pull yourself completely away from something that's really inspiring to you, or you have a choice to focus more attentively and, yes, intensively on the direction of your interest. A change of heart is really up to you, right? So go where your heart is more creatively aligned. Hello, Libra, and welcome to your monthly horoscope for the month of April. Sometimes the best way to bring healing to a connection that is seemingly undergoing a lot of stress is to simply walk away from that particular connection. Doesn't necessarily mean that you have to walk away from it altogether. Sometimes it's just a matter of turning away from it temporarily. You're seeming to find yourself in a situation with another person where there's a lot of arguing and a lot of disagreement, and at the root of it, you sense that it's really revolving around a difference of philosophies. But many of those philosophies around which you're finding a point of contention are very vital to you. And regardless of the outcome of you defending those beliefs, you feel it's very, very important that you do so. Those beliefs are very sacred to you, and because they're very sacred, you feel a need to defend them. But there's maybe a little bit of a, inconsistency there, right? If something really is that solid, does it really need to be defended? Quite often we find ourselves in a position where we're having a disagreement over philosophies, when really, at the root of it, there's an uncertainty within ourselves. And in the midst of all of that uncertainty, we're trying to convince ourselves that a belief is absolutely pure. And there's no flaws in that belief. But because we can't really be sure of that, and because as humans we're deeply prone to doubt, we begin to cling to that belief very intensively out of a fear that we're going to find a flaw in it. And that very pattern is likely what's at root of a particular difference of philosophy that you're having with another individual. You're changing very rapidly and, very intensively, and so too are your beliefs. But be alert to the fact that you might be feeling a need to defend something because you are uncertain of it yourself, and hence trying to convince yourself of its validity rather than necessarily another. Hello, Scorpio, and welcome to your monthly horoscope for the month of April. In the long term, it's not just a question of how determined you are. It's a question of how determined you are to A, either truly commit to change, or B, to resist that change altogether. If, at the moment, you're willing to commit to change wholeheartedly in deep scorpionic fashion, then you have cosmic cooperation at your back. But if you're resistant, well, I think you get the picture. Then you're likely going to be dragged, kicking and screaming, into the change. But a move can actually be helpful, not only to you, but also if you have children, the move can be helpful to your children as well. But you're afraid that diminishing resources will get in the way of you being able to establish the type of environment that's not just right for you, but also right for the others in your family. And what if you're not a family person, and what if you don't have children? Well, that move can also be beneficial for your creative ventures and your responsibility to those creative ventures. Now, this move can be anything from, making great changes in your life, but chances are for many of you, it actually refers to an actual physical move to a different location. And it's one that brings the opportunity for greater potential. But this change is not something that's going to, happen rapidly. You're not going to be able to establish this long-term stability immediately. And because you're not in a position to be able to establish it immediately, you're beginning to feel the pressure of time upon your situation. Because although your external environment hasn't adapted in a manner that's providing you with the stability and the inspiration and, yes, even the solace that you need, well, your external environment is kind of putting a lot of pressure on you to get into that situation where you are in that different environment, whether that environment is, external or internal inside of yourself. And the two really do tend to mirror each other. Remember, though, lasting security requires not skipping steps along the way. Be willing to dedicate yourself wholeheartedly to the task at hand. Be willing to stay committed. Just because it's not shifting and changing for you immediately, and just because you're feeling the pressure of the moment, don't scrap the idea of creating good, positive change and perhaps a good, positive shift of environment. Don't throw that away altogether. Sagittarius, and welcome to your monthly horoscope for the month of April. Everybody is watching you, and you know it. The focus is on you, and we can see those beads of sweat beginning to break out on your forehead. A lot of responsibility is really being put on to you, and you're feeling the burden of it. You didn't want this battle, but seemingly this battle has found you. One part of you feels like just taking that burden and going, here, you take it over. You take over responsibility for my life. You make all the decisions for me. You tell me which way to go. You be my nanny, my mommy, and my daddy, and the person who points my life in the direction that it needs to go, because goodness knows I just want to take all the responsibility for that and put it on someone else's shoulders, because I'm tired of feeling like I have performance anxiety. So because I've got performance anxiety, I'm going to get angry at someone else for the fact that they had a lack of clarity in terms of making a decision. You were really short-sighted. You weren't productive enough. You didn't do good enough of a job. But have you ever stopped to think that perhaps you're thinking that you didn't do good enough of a job, that you had short-sightedness? Occasionally in life, opposition is just too strong. And at those times, it seems like the actions that we take are futile. And at that moment, it seems like any choice is a wrong choice. But you do have one positive choice when the going gets tough. You have a choice to walk away from the conflict. It is your choice to engage or not to engage. Make that choice wisely. Hello, Capricorn, and welcome to your monthly horoscope for the month of April. Though your finances may be requiring that you put a little more oomph and a little more backbone behind your efforts to earn, trust that your efforts will not go unrewarded. Problem is, it's probably difficult for you to trust that your efforts won't go unrewarded, because in April, progress seems, a little slower than you would like for it to be. And sometimes we get a hint of progress and we get hungry for greater and greater levels of progress. We want the big prize rather than just the little small gains in momentum. But although progress is slower than you expect it to be, or rather it's slower than you hope for it to be, progress is beginning to build. But as it's building, be cautious not to become overly ambitious. Doing so at this particular moment in time can place you in a position of burnout when you really need to be burning a sustained flame over a longer period of time rather than one great large conflagration that tends to fizzle out very quickly after it's started. There's an opportunity for you to build a greater level of happiness in your life at the present moment, but the path of getting there may be paved with tension. Your number one enemy at this particular moment in time is your lack of self-esteem and feelings of uncertainty in terms of making decisions. Creatively, you may not be able to do everything that you want to do this month, but even if you're heading in a direction that's, not really fully inspiring to you, inspiration may just find you in an unexpected manner. Welcome, Aquarius, to your monthly horoscope for the month of April. Your ruler transiting through Dhanishta Nakshatra. Now, as I'm saying ruler, many of you might be thinking Uranus, but in Vedic astrology, Saturn is the ruler of Aquarius, and your ruler is transiting through Dhanishta Nakshatra this month, and it's trying to warn you that trying too hard at this particular moment in time may create more problems for you when a simpler approach could actually make things much better for you. As humans, we have this mindset that if hard work brings reward, then harder work is going to bring even greater reward, right? But it doesn't always work out that way. And then we get into the pattern of when that hard work isn't returning reward, we think that we have to try harder. And then the effort builds and the effort builds when ultimately it's something simple can get the job done just as easily as what you think might get the job done otherwise, which is that level of super hard work and effort. Seems like you have a difficult decision that you need to make around the new moon of the 12th. Finances seem to be getting in the way of you making this particular decision in a relaxed manner because you're feeling the pressure of finances. But perhaps the best approach to this particular situation involves seeking solutions less than you are and simply moving with what feels appropriate at the moment. In short, you need to let your actions flow through you rather than trying to plan or strategize your actions. That's difficult to do because you're likely feeling a lot of instability, and as humans, well, we like to feel secure when we're making change. We don't like to feel uncertain or uneasy in making important decisions in our life. And when we're not feeling supported by other people in making those decisions, then that can cause us to become even more overly analytical. Though things may begin to feel unstable for you towards the end of the month, what seems like a radical upheaval can actually be a refreshing new start. Ghosts from the past may raise fears for you, but remember that appearances can be deceiving. Hello, Pisces Ascendant, and welcome to your monthly horoscope for the month of April. You ever find yourself in one of those positions where something's bothering you, something's a source of frustration in your life, and you can't quite put your finger on what that actually is? You just know that you're frustrated. You just know that you're being held back. And the deeper you try to go to discover the source of what's actually, creating issues for you, the more elusive it becomes. So of course you know about these situations because you're likely finding yourself this month in just such a scenario. You can't quite put your finger on something, but you know it's causing you an awful lot of frustration at this particular moment in time. And this is coming at a time where you're really struggling to find greater levels of freedom in your life. And this is making that process, even more difficult to complete. Something is holding you back. Perhaps even someone is holding you back, but you're not quite sure of who or what that is. What you are sure of, however, is that you are tired of all of the responsibility which seems to be being placed squarely on your shoulders. You are not responsible for everyone else's happiness. Other people are responsible for their own happiness. You are not the person who has to make all of the important decisions. Other people have to participate in the decision-making process as well. You are responsible, however, for ignoring an opportunity when it's staring you right in the face. Now, I think that perhaps you have found that elusive source of frustration. Look in the mirror Now you know precisely what you need to do. Thanks everybody for watching my first foray into horoscopes for all of the ascendants. I would really love to hear your feedback in the comments section below. If you haven't subscribed to my page, I'm generally doing 1 to 2 videos a week, so you can subscribe through the subscribe button, which I'm sure you'll see on the page. When you go to subscribe, please tick the notification bell. That way you can be notified each time a new video is uploaded. And if you want to schedule a consultation with me after watching your monthly horoscope, please feel free to do so through my astrological services page. You will find the link to that page above. Thanks a lot for watching, and until next time, please do take the very best care of yourself. Bye now.